Godwinson is 4 things.
Greetings from across the grand spectrums of time and indeed the multiverse. Now, a few of you have DM'd and emailed me today to ask what is essentially this question. What do I think about Jim selling hats? Well, I hate to be predictable on this, I really, really do, but if you look back at my entire body of work since 2013 when I started, you look back at every single one of those hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've made since that date, you can see a very clear, very strong, very robust message, and it's that I absolutely loathe, I hate monetization. I always have. I will never monetize, and I actively encourage all of you out there not to play the game of monetization, not to whitelist your favourite e-celeb on AdBlock, not to give them money over PayPal, and certainly I implore you not to become their patron on Patreon. I think the whole thing is cancer. And once this cancer is actually cut out of the internet, society as a whole will be much better. I work in education for a living, and I see every single day young people looking down at their phone screens and saying that they want to be PewDiePie, saying that they want to be KSI, Keemstar, Logan Paul, whomever. They want to be an e-celeb. They want to not focus on any academic potential they may have. No, they can just stay at home, fail at life entirely, and simply become insta-famous and sell advertiser space in 10-minute chunks. And I despair. I despair because this isn't a real job. There's no insurance that comes with being a YouTuber. There's no pension part. There certainly isn't any workers' rights. You're at the whim of an algorithm, a mega corporation that can simply deplatform you without giving you any notice. Almost every single job in the real world is better, is more secure than doing YouTube for a living. But for some reason, the young of this country, the young of the country I'm sure that you inhabit, they've become brainwashed into neglecting reality and instead focusing on chasing likes, becoming insta-famous, and thinking in those terms. If a full-scale demonetization does happen and people can't draw money from YouTube, people can't draw money from the internet, you're going to start seeing people be active in the real world again. Once you take away the carrot of monetization, society at large becomes healthier. The e-celeb monetizes. They lose almost all of their creative autonomy because they're at the mercy of advertisers, sponsors, and essentially that e-celeb morphs into a conduit whereby they simply become a name pushing out 10-minute videos that really should be 30 seconds long because that's how long the message is before it's artificially stretched out to 10 minutes. They essentially become this conduit for a 10-minute artificially lengthened video. That video is almost inevitably a commercial, an advertisement for a whole litany of overpriced, low-quality mugs, t-shirts. And in tandem with this lack or losing of self-respect and dignity, in tandem with that, the e-celeb actually gains something. They actually gain a subreddit, and they gain the cancerous audience that comes with such an affliction. Ultimately, what all of this does is serve to kill any creativity of the content provider that you used to enjoy. You're not going to be hearing any hot takes from them that will get them showered from a platform on the internet. You're not going to be hearing anything that's going to change the world or even incite you to change the world. No. Now, this message that I'm saying, it used to be a lot more popular, certainly when I started back in 2013. It used to be a mark of shame if you actually did monetize on the internet. If you were an e-celeb e-begging your audience for a laptop or to crowdfund your next mortgage payment. Whatever message you actually were pushing out was tainted because you transparently let the mask slip and revealed yourself to be someone who was simply prioritizing getting paid on the internet as opposed to delivering the message that you wanted to deliver. How many times have you heard, without your donation, this video would not be possible? Why is it that if you're not given any donations, why is it that the content you've just made would not be possible? Surely if it meant that much to you and you were there to entertain, if you were there to spread a message, or if you were there to spread the message of free speech, for example, or a free press, surely you'd be making the content anyway. You wouldn't need a donation to motivate you. You wouldn't need people paying you to actually speak these words. Like I say, the message of demonetization and hating on those who monetize used to be a much more widespread. Now, I started noticing e-celebs, and conservative in the sense that they were against monetization. I started noticing that they were starting to turn when Jim monetized, when he got his Patreon. People saying, well, if Jim's monetized, then, you know, I might as well do the same thing. And I've always maintained, however much one may like Jim, may like his content, you shouldn't do something simply because Jim's done something. Why do they do this? Why don't they have any thoughts of their own? Why do they idolize someone and intend to emulate them and intend to imitate them at every single juncture? Why do they feel validated when Jim does something? It's very hard to find someone who doesn't like Jim, because the content stands for itself. The videos are good, they're well made, and contrary to Coach's opinions, they do have a sense of artistry that have managed to capture myself, and I'm sure the vast majority of people listening to this video. They're good videos, you know? But simply because someone makes good videos, it doesn't mean they have complete autonomy over my actions. So, simply because Jim gets a Patreon, or Jim wants to sell hats, don't expect me to do the same thing. But I tell you what, you can now expect to see people who were against monetization, who were against such disgraceful behaviour, you're going to start seeing them do exactly what Jim's doing now. And you can't say, well,
So this video is about Godwinson. I am disappointed in the British little shit, the limey. Yeah, because he was supposed to do a video about me, you know, and I like to watch videos about myself because, you know, because I'm so sexy. Yes, my double chin and my paunch make me irresistible, and even to myself, and that's why I love watching videos of myself, and I'm just waiting for Godwinson to do a video about me. But, you know, what does he do? He puts out a video that was kind of like weird and disjointed, and then, you know, closes up his channel once again and just like disappears from the scene once again. Now, I'm going to do a video that I didn't really want to do. You know, it's basically because I kind of like Godwinson. I certainly understand him. I certainly understand him because I know what he is, who he is. Yeah. Yeah, he keeps saying that his channel gets deleted. Bullshit. He deletes his own channels, right? Because he's basically a chicken shit. See, because he is an upper-class kid with all the breaks. He's got brains. He's a good-looking kid. He's probably got social connections, probably family or schooling or a combination thereof. And he could get any position he wants in society. He could pretty much aspire to any position in society, anywhere from prime minister to Nobel laureate in whatever science or whatever. The guy's got it all. He's got the world on a string. You know, the world is his oyster. But see, he lacks one thing. And this is the key issue. And that's why I know that Godwinson is never going to amount to much. Godwinson has no balls. He doesn't have the courage to make a decision. See, because he's intensely attracted to this whole vibe of the internet subculture, the internet blood sports and all this shit. He's intensely attracted to it, yeah? And he could be a presence in it. But see, he doesn't dare have a channel permanently because inevitably there would be troughs. There'd be peaks and there'd be troughs. And so people know him, but whenever he's there for a while, he runs away out of fear that he's not going to be successful. See? Because he sort of like is paralyzed by all this promise that he has. He has all of these options, but he's sort of like caught up in the opportunity cost issue. In the fact that when you make one decision and when you take one path, you inevitably and of necessity close off the other paths. And so Godwinson wants to maintain all paths open indefinitely. He doesn't have the balls to be an adult and simply make up his mind and go in one direction. He's at the fork in the road, dithering. The Hamlet of the fork of the road. You see what I'm saying? He can't make up his mind. He can't make up his mind because he's scared. Because he's a little chicken shit. Hey, I don't begrudge him. I knew guys like that, right? I knew guys like that who had like everything at their feet, and yet they never amounted to anything. And that's the tragedy. See? All that promise, but a lack of courage. So they stayed there at the fork in the road and never amounted to anything. The other thing, too, is that he needs intensely to be at the center of things, to be in the know. He so needs that. He so needs to be in the know, to be perceived by others that he knows. It was really funny. One time I heard him speak, right? And the conversation turned to me and how I'd appeared on RT TV a few times. Now, I appeared on Russia Today talking about economics as a favor to a producer friend, right? And I thought it would be funny, and, you know, so why not? I appeared a few times, I don't know, maybe a half dozen times, something like that. And, you know, just a talking head. And Godwinson claimed that he had seen me. That's absurd. Okay, Russia Today is an obscure channel. And Russia Today has hundreds of talking heads about all kinds of issues. And I was on Russia Today back in 2012. How on earth could Godwinson claim that he had seen me on Russia Today 6 fucking years ago and remember me? That's absurd. That's absurd, but it points to Godwinson. He needs to be perceived that he's in the know. He needs to be in the know, or at least pretend that he's in the know. And that points to weakness. I like Godwinson. I've never interacted with the son of a bitch. I wouldn't mind. He's probably an interesting kid, but he's a boy. He's a child. He'll never be a man. Not the way he's going. He doesn't have the balls to step on the scene and make a place for himself. He wants to sort of like slide in by charm alone. But he doesn't have like the balls to just like stick the elbows into the other motherfuckers and get in there. Yeah. And take his place. He's never had to fight for anything, so he doesn't know what it is to take what you want. And this message is for Godwinson. And I know you're listening to this and watching it. Yeah. With your little stupid things of, ooh, true nectar and Kino and shit like that. But I know you. I know you so well. I know you better than yourself. You will never amount to anything if you continue on this path. Be a man and make up your mind. If you're going to get in the ring, get in the ring. But don't be a little bitch and sort of like, am I in? Am I out? I don't know. I'm Godwinson. I'm a who can't make up his fucking mind. Make up your fucking mind, boy. Or get the fuck out of my sight.
Stay tuned, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Now, if the old PPP, if this situation were reversed and it was Jim sitting with Andy as co-host, and the old PPP was coming in here, and I gave the explanations you did about Power Chat, what would the old PPP?
He wouldn't accept them, but the difference.
No, not that he wouldn't accept them. What would he say? What would he say in that situation?
He'd be like, "You motherfucker, you grifting piece of shit. You're working for the feds. Da 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 da. Here's this. Here's this." The thing is, I'm not the same person as I was 2-3 years ago. A lot of things have changed with me, and I've embraced the grift. And, you know, the Jim of 2014, 2015 would also say different things about the Jim of 2022 as well. You know, so you can see how it is.
I think what Ashton is saying is he's grown as a person.
Well, I've changed.
That's very sweet of you. No,
I've changed. I was very immature back in the day, trolling, trying to fuck up everybody's grift, everybody's livelihood. But I'm now in that position where I'm grifting. It's my livelihood, and I realize there's really nothing wrong with making money online. You know, and I think you came to the same position over time. You know. So there's a difference between me from 2-3 years ago and me from today. Again, I went through a lot in my personal life. I had a best friend of 4 years. You know, it didn't work out with him. He called the police on me. I was in a quasi-homeless state, living off COVID bucks. I didn't want to fucking take the vaccine. I couldn't find fucking work. I ended up, you know, like dead fucking broke in a cabin in the middle of the woods in winter, freezing. There was no insulation. I was fucking freezing, struggling. And it was in that cabin when you're that cold and you can't make it stop and you have that personal betrayal in your life and the guy is talking about your personal life and everything like that. I made a vow to myself I would never, ever let myself get to that position again. And, you know, one of the only opportunities available to me at that time, because I didn't want to take the vaccine and I couldn't get work from home, was to start grifting. And I knew Andy knew how to make money. And I called Andy up and Andy helped me get started. He got me equipment.
I sent him all this money and stuff.
And when we did start to make money and everything, you know, was going well and I went to pay him back,
I said no.
He said no. He said don't, no. You know.
Look,
but times change and people change. That's
Ashton,
my point on that.
Well, a big thing too to say about how he's changed. When we talked, obviously it was sketchy because Ashton has said probably the most vile things about me that any person on the internet has said besides Ralph. Like there are videos of Ashton like saying crazy.
I think I've said put a bullet in his head. I think I've said
family,
the same thing about
my
Jim.
family and shit. Yeah. But the thing was I had just ended my show with Kyler. I always thought Ashton was funny, even though he was a little bit psychotic. And I thought, hey, a show with two who used to be enemies, you know? And the more I talked to Ashton, we were like talking before the show even started. And I would say we became very friendly with each other. And you didn't seem like the Ashton you were before, definitely, 100%. And then we fired. And then I sent you all that money. I paid for the Fiverr chick for the intro. I got everything all ready. In all fairness to Ashton, again, he did go, well, after we made our first check, or like the first proper check, he went, Andy, here's the like 1,000. And I went, no, listen, we're in this together. Let's do it. So yeah, that's how that whole thing materialized. But Ashton was
I think this leads kind of into some of the other things. So let's talk about Godwinson.
Sure.
First off, can you say his name? Can you say Godwinson? Because the
chat
acts. No, just
like,
Godwinson.
say his name. Say his name.
Can you say Godwinson?
Yeah, of course I can. The reason I didn't want to address it is because myself and Godwinson were such good friends. And me and him had said to each other, you know, we're never going to say a bad word about each other. And I took that very seriously because of our friendship. And I never wanted to say a bad word about him or fight with him on the internet or anything like that. I just didn't want to have drama with him. And my hope was if I ignored it, it would go away. But, you know, I should have known better. You know, I know how it goes. I know how the playbook is. And I shouldn't have done that. But I didn't want to fire back at Godwinson about stuff because in order to rebut some of what he's saying, I have to go into some of his personal life. And I don't want to reveal like some of the details and stuff like that. I didn't want to go into.
Well, speaking of that, I think one of the big criticisms of the video that you put out was the accusation you doxed him by putting up his PayPal information. Did you?
Well, so here's what happened. I wanted to make it very clear that it wasn't kayfabe, it wasn't whatever. He did take the money. Now, me and Andy got drunk as I'm sitting there, we're talking about the situation, And I'm like, did you ever see the video Coach put up about Godwinson? And he's like, no, I never did. So I put it on. He's like, shit, we should just throw this up because
I think it's funny, you know. It's at least something until the interview with you.
And a lot of the points that Coach was making, I felt were relevant to the personal situation between me and him, and whether or not he was going to come onto the show and things like this. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to throw that up. And I was like, well, how do I spice it up a little bit? I saw on the
and then I passed out, as you saw in the video.
Well, yeah. So
I literally passed right out
at the bottom of the 40-ounce bottle of vodka, fucking bunch of beers, bunch of ciders. You know what else?
Yeah.
So anyway, then I'm on that same Shitstream archive channel. I see the video of talking about the hats, where Godwinson criticizes you for selling out and grifting and selling hats and all this shit.
Sure.
And I go, this is a video where Godwinson makes his position on grifting very, very clear, that all forms of monetization are wrong and that you shouldn't involve yourself in it. You're selling your soul. You're sending the wrong message to children at school to be e-celebs instead of doctors and lawyers. And this was his position. So I say, okay, I'll put that up. And then what I'll do is, because I'm going to throw up some DMs where he's asking me for the money, which contradicts his message in that video. And I want to put up the PayPal receipt showing that, in fact, yes, he really did take this money, because sometimes with what me and Godwinson do, it's hard to tell what's real, what's not, what's an exaggeration. The problem was I was drunk as fuck and didn't. Now, his name being out there, it's been out there for a long time. Even with his YouTube channels he's had in the past have been called like Adam Edge of the Multiverse, stuff like this.
Oh, you're doubling down.
Some sensitive there was some sensitive information that I didn't realize the extent of when I put that out. And because of that, I trimmed out that section initially when I learned. And then I said, you know what? It's just not appropriate to leave this up. This was a mistake, and I took it down. And that's the situation with that.
So the position is that it was a drunk doxing.
Yeah.
It's like a drive-by drinking. Okay.
That is what it is.
It's like literally what happened.
But now you've said his name again on stream. So, I mean, now I'm in the awkward position because I don't want to do it, but now that it's been put out there, is that his name, or is that just a title? Is the sensitive information you excluded the name? Is that why you took the video down? And if so, why would you say the name again on stream?
No, the name isn't what's sensitive. But I don't want to get in, like, you know what I mean? But that is his fucking name. He goes by it. He's gone by it for years. People have known that that's his name for years. So.
I had some channels with his name there.
Well, and not only that, but it's been leaked out and also all over the place.
But
it's
it was something
Farms,
else that
on Cow.
Yeah, it was something else that was part of that PayPal. But the
intention wasn't to dox him or whatever. My intention was just to make kind of a drunken shit post about him and kind of expose a bit of the hypocrisy. It wasn't supposed to be a serious video. It wasn't supposed to be me intimidating him. But I did make a mistake by doing that, and I own up to that.
So why hold back? It seems like Godwinson made a lot of claims in his video. So Godwinson made a lot of claims in his video. Are any of them true? Were you planning on firing Worski? Was Godwinson going to become a co-host on the show? What was the situation with, what is it, Persephone? Was he going to have a show with Godwinson? What's the story?
No, I mean, I give my perspective. I'll give my perspective from what I knew, okay? And then he'll talk about what actually happened behind the scenes. From what I gathered was that Godwinson had given Ashton the blessing to have the show with me, right? And he was like, oh, it's doing well and blah, 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 and all this stuff. But then I think it was probably 4 or 5 months into our show, so probably like last month or the month before that, was when Ashton pitched the idea of what if we got him as a third chair. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool, right? And then that's all I knew. Like, literally, I knew nothing else, but Ashton will not go on.
Yeah, so as Andy said, I mean, back in January, I basically I told Adam, I'm like, look, I don't want to do this, but I don't feel like I have any other options. I got to do this. I got to start making some money. I want to do the show with Andy. And what he had said to me was, he's like, I absolutely understand that, you got to do what you got to do to survive, man. And, you know, I give you, you know, and I said, like, I'm not going to do it unless you tell me that it's all right. Because I really valued his opinion. I'm like, do you think that this is okay? He said, you know, I think it is okay for you to do this and make some money. But he did say, he's like, you know, I don't think you should do it with Worski. He'll f you on the money. Now, he was wrong about that, at least so far. Andy has always honored our commitments in terms of pay, and I've honored them with him, that sort of thing.
Yes.
But Adam told me at that time, it was a couple episodes into the show, probably 2-3 weeks in. He said to me, I'm going to probably leave the internet for a long time. I'm probably never going to be back. I may interact with you. I may call you from time to time, and we may check in. We may hang out in real life in the future, things like this. But I've got this new, you know, dream job. And it was a job that he was really excited for in a field that he had always been interested in. And he was working for somebody that was very important and very influential and a public figure. And I don't want to go into it too much. I sat down and I recorded a video yesterday, a couple days ago, going into more detail, but I don't think it's appropriate to do so. But this job he got, right? It was a new job, new prospects, new opportunities. So about 6 months later, I think it was June 2nd, he comes back online and he gives me a call. And we start shooting the shit like we usually do. We're talking about what movies we've seen, what's going on in the world and policy. We're talking for hours. And I ask him about the job that, you know, he's been doing. And he kind of just tells me a big fucking sob story about this job that he's doing, that, you know, it is, you know, working for somebody influential, somebody important, but it's not what he thought it was going to be. That he's kind of being treated as like the office gopher, the office bitch boy. He's being told to make this guy tea. He's being told to make this guy sandwiches. This motherfucker is like requesting that Godwinson rub his shoulders while he's working so he doesn't fall asleep. He's having Godwinson. He's like, can you whistle calm down races just keep my brain stimulated? So my good friend sitting here having to rub this guy's shoulders, whistling Dixie. He's saying, you know, my time is not my own anymore. I wish I could have the freedom to not have to do this schedule. I'm having to work a lot of overtime. This guy's bringing me in on my days off, and sometimes it seems like it's just to embarrass me. Like, apparently he brought him in on the weekend and asked him to wash his car for him. This is the sort of shit he was having to deal with. And one of the things that was really heartbreaking for me to hear, this public figure, they're supposed to go to a children's cancer hospital together. You know, him and this public figure are going to go to the children's cancer hospital.
I mean, I got to interrupt you a little bit here.
Yeah, okay, I know. I'm going on a long tangent.
No, it's not that. But it's like you understand, like, he's totally out, right?
Well, I don't think he's totally.
I do. I mean, you've given out his name. You've confirmed it. Now you've confirmed the kind of job he works in. And then you've given a specific event.
I mean,
you gave a specific event he went to with this guy. So now all anybody has to do is look up an event that's similar to that with a guy, his name, and now they know him. So why the would you do that, man?
Listen, I just think it's important to provide some context to why I was considering working with him. And I think that the stories are important in a sense to bring that up. But I haven't mentioned in specific certain details that I think really would him. I'm trying to leave those out of the story.
Oh, I think you've double ticked him at this point. I just wanted to know what, I guess, the start of the business relationship was. Okay, so I kind of understand how it's structured between you two. And, you know, the Percept thing saying that he was going to, Andy, I think you brought that up, that he was going to do like a show with Godwinson. Was that something that was going to happen? I mean, it sounds like there was a negotiation to get him on the channel.
I mean, there was a negotiation. There was a negotiation.
Did that involve money?
It did involve money. I mean, what the ultimate agreement had become was I was going to pay him because he needed to quit this job and he needed assurances. I was going to pay him £2,000 a month to do the show. And whether or not he was going to be the third chair all the time, or if he was going to be providing edited content. There was a lot of back and forth on that. But the agreement was I was going to pay him £2,000 a month. And I ended up paying him because I could only send $1,000 at a time was the limit. I sent him the first payment of that, which was like $800. And then the expectation would be that I would send continued payments each week in order to get him his rate. We were going into the show with Flamco. That's when I thought it would be a great idea to bring him on board for the show.
Yeah, can I do an aside for that with the
real fast?
Go ahead, Andy.
Because you said I had no idea about this agreement, 0% like a knowledge, and Ashton was literally taking it out of his pay, not mine at all. I literally had no idea. I had
all those workouts you've been doing help you get the muscle strength to throw his ass under the bus. I don't know this man. I have nothing to do with this man.
No, I'm saying that because you brought up a tweet that because what Ashton told me, and this is true, he told me that he had paid Godwinson to do a show with Persip and Squire, I think. Now, that's why I had tweeted that 4 days ago. Now, the Ashton told me the truth like yesterday or the day before, and I'm just letting you know that I wasn't lying in my tweet. That's what I was.
No, well, it did end up turning into that. So the situation with Flamco happens.
Well, actually, I've got two things. Now we'll get into the fun stuff. So, you and Godwinson, would you say you were friendly before all this?
Of course.
Yeah, good friends. So, okay. So you just doxed his ass on stream. Now, Andy, going back to what we talked about with Power Chat, even if we don't know if Power Chat is routed through AF Groypers doing tech support and shit, we don't. So it could be clean. Luis might, be straight up on that. I don't know. I really don't. I don't code.
Yeah.
But you did bring up the point that the end user, like what happened with Beardson, does get the information.
Mm.
So if I were in your audience right now and I found out one of the co-hosts just threw his friend under the bus, and I'm a donator, how do I feel safe giving you my information through a donating platform, even if it's not Power Chat? If you're using, any other alternative, how do I know, who's handling the money? Am I safe? What if Ashton gets mad at me?
It's me. It's through my email, or was until now. He's using Stream Elements because I was 2 days ago. I know what you're saying, but in all fairness to Ashton, he was, again, drunk as he didn't mean to do that. And I don't think that he thought that story would connect Adam with anything.
Well, I know. But just from the audience's perspective.
Sure,
if that was a friend getting, and I'm just a pay pig, right? I'm not your friend. How do I know I'm not the next, victim like Beardson? You know what I mean? He threw that guy under the bus for no reason.
Look, we've gotten some of the craziest donos, horrific, saying the most horrific shit, and I would never, and Ashton would never. I think the reason Ashton's telling this story is it's a lot more deeper and personal, and it explains sort of the overall story that he's trying to convey here. As per people who donate, we would never, I would never give someone's information, and I really think that Ashton wouldn't do that either.
And to be fair, I haven't seen that happen. I'm just asking it because it's related to the
fair.
Fucking...
Well, I suppose it is a fair question.
It is fair. Sure.
I don't know. I tried to tell that story in a way that wouldn't f him over, but I don't know. I guess you're viewing it as it would f him over. I'm trying to leave things out. So it is what it is.
Oh, it's doing what it normally does. You'll have to resend the link in 10 minutes when it shuts.
Yeah.
To go into the Flamco thing. Okay. That was a disastrous stream. Yeah. I thought you guys had him on a silver platter and you were going to send his ass to the graveyard, and it was shit. Yeah. So, my question, I guess, from that is,
what happened?
Well, what happened? Okay. Because there are a few questions. One, what happened? Because people had said that you held back. This is specifically to Andy, that you wouldn't show information or let people show information on stream.
Let me explain it. Well,
Well, you can say your part. So Ashton had phoned me. He had been on the phone with Godwinson and these guys all day. Hey, we have this all set up or whatever. Sure. I was at the gym, and I was like, all right, cool. Sounds like a plan, dude. So I went in there more like like I had no idea what was happening. Like almost zero clue besides some basics of people calling Flam a pedophile. So I was caught completely off guard by like what was happening on that stream, and Ashton has more of a clearer picture of that.
So what happened was, me and Adam were discussing bringing him into the show, potentially me and him doing a show, potentially him even replacing Andy at a certain point once me and Andy's show had reached kind of its natural conclusion. And I thought, this is a great opportunity. Some crazy shit's come out about Flamco. I'm being told we have all this evidence, all this sort of shit, and it's all being compiled in the drive. Me and Adam get on a call, and we try and convince Flamco to do it because he doesn't want to do it. We're like, we're going to clear your name, brother. Don't you worry. Da-da-da-da. We scam him into doing the show. Totally scam him. He believed it. And the reality of it was all prepared for us, but we were just too fucking arrogant, way too overconfident, didn't look over the material that was provided, didn't have a firm enough grasp on all of this fucking shit. And one of the big mistakes was not bringing Andy into the planning as well and having Andy briefed on what was in the drive. And so because me and Adam were fucking way too arrogant, way too overconfident, thought it was just a slam dunk, we didn't give a fuck, and it went the way it did. It was a fucking disaster. But I don't fucking blame Andy for that because he wasn't adequately prepped either.
Well,
why was Persephone so, I think it was specifically him, so dead set on saying that it was Andy's up?
Listen,
can you explain that?
Because it's hard to admit when your heroes up and fail. It's hard to admit that me and Adam were way too arrogant coming into that stream and we didn't do it quite right than it is to blame Andy, who he doesn't necessarily like, for it failing. That's I think the reason why, to be honest. And they were in denial and were telling me it went perfect, it went great. And Adam thought it went perfect and great as well. And I said, no, it's really not went as well as we thought. Now, there was some moments where we got Flam pissed off. We were clearly with him. But to me, that's not enough to justify, the stream, to be honest.
But also, too, when I was being blamed for that, I was like, when people are like, why aren't you showing the evidence? I'm like, what evidence? Send me a link. I'll put it on the screen. No one called me. There was even like me and Ashton had a little back and forth for like a minute. It was like only like 1 minute where Ashton was like, oh, you didn't back us. And I'm like, Ashton, I had no idea what I was walking into. And I'm not going to just like head onto like the stream and go, you're a pedophile, And Godwinson was the one who was like, it was like, where's the evidence?
Listen,
you're a pedophile. Where's the evidence? You're a pedophile.
Listen, he brought it right at the beginning. Are you a pedophile? Yes or no? At that point, I followed his lead on it, and I honestly was like, basically, part of it copying his mannerism, shit like this.
Yeah.
I backed him to the hilt on that, and we just tried to steamroll the guy, but it just didn't work.
So you lost to a 34-year-old autistic man that dresses up like a VTuber popping a cup.
It's tough, but he's having his own.
I just want to make sure I have this straight. No, you're telling me that Nicholas DiOrio and Augie did a better job than you and Godwinson.
But listen, that's why we didn't prepare, because on paper it's like this is Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali fighting a disabled cripple. How can you lose? Somehow a disabled cripple felt at us. What can I say?
Okay, so just to sum up where we are right now, Power Chat might have been compromised. We don't know. They might have information we don't know. You guys did stop using it. You're using something else. I do kind of think you doxed Godwinson. I think that was kind of a shitty thing. I do think that raises some issues about information. Your Jannies have left you. Why have your Jannies left you? What's the relationship with you and Persip and all the others right now? Are they still on your team? Because they don't seem to be. So is there a fallout behind the scenes? What's going on?
Well, I don't know, like the Janny, this or that. I mean, at the end of the day with them, they were prepping some stuff for me. That role diminished a lot over the last 6 weeks anyway, before any of this really happened. Like for the last month, they hadn't been prepping anyway. And honestly, it doesn't really come down to any of this drama as to why. They're just burned out. A lot of the time for them, it's like, we've been doing this drama shit for years and years. We're not drawing a paycheck out of this, and we're just kind of tired. And that's kind of where they've moved on. But so far as like, I think he had a spat with Andy on Twitter and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
And I want to say one thing that Godwinson brought up that I want to bring to light.
Sure.
Over the last, I'd say, like a month and a half, so I was helping out with the show a lot, right? And Godwinson was saying, oh, Persip and Squire do more show prep than Andy. Now, the reason that is true currently right now, but the reason is Ashton and I had a talk, and the deal is still on, where I asked him, I'm like, look, the training is brutal. Like, it's like literally, I got punched in the face probably like 50 times today. You know what I mean? Like, it's brutal. It's 5 hours of working out. I got to eat like just insane amounts of food that I don't want to eat. All that stuff. I'm not crying about it, but all I asked Ashton was, I said, hey, bro, do you mind if you focus on the show prep until after the fight? I'll help out with what I can if I find something interesting or a link or something.
Oh, wait a second. I think the audio got screwed up. Did you hear that, Andy?
No.
I could have sworn I heard a bus going by. Were you throwing him under the bus a second time?
No, I'm not. No.
I look at you you're like, oh, the show went to shit in the last 6 weeks, but it went to shit because I put him in charge.
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. No, I'll say even from the starting of the show, Ashton has been the brainchild of the content. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the reason let me just
explain it. I mean, look, me and Person Squad did do most of the prep on the show. Andy contributes here and there, but the expectation really, at least for the last 4, has not really been for Andy to be prepping shows. And Andy said to me when he got this deal with the fight purse that he would give me, because we've been doing more of the prep, that he would give me half of it. And I said to Andy, that's insane.
He did, yeah.
You don't give me half of the purse.
And it's a big
This
purse.
Is your health. Your health is your wealth. You might get fucked up substantially. And I said, look, I'll take a small percentage out of it to compensate for the extra work I was doing. But Andy's like, no, I want you to have 50%. We're 50% partners on everything. And that is a very generous thing of him to do.
And once I'm paid after the fight, I'm going to half of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we hold it right here? You want to start a new Google thing because this is about to die.
Sure.
Do you think Godwinson's going to continue his line of attack? Will you have Godwinson on to have a discussion with him about this?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I have no clue what's going through his head right now. I wish it didn't happen the way it's happened between me and him. We were good friends. I know you've always said no internet friends, but we had interacted in real life and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just felt, stabbed in the back a bit by him, and, it's just a shame it's happened, but I don't know. Whatever he wants to do is that's his business.
My mother used to say, birds of a feather flock together. If you run around with losers, you will end up a loser. It's necessary that you get the losers out of your life if you want to live your dream.
All this year, Adam's been talking about how I'm going to be so cold. I'm going to shake, and I'm going to shiver and shout. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Winter is coming, But, winter is here. Winter is here, And, I just got one question for Godwinson, for Adam, for Persip, and Squire, and Brian. I just got one question, bitches. Cold to you? Do I look cold to you, bitches? Oh, yeah. This is 5-star days for PvP out here. Yeah, buddy. Do I look like I'm shaking? Do I look like I'm shivering? 5-star days, baby. Let's go! Woo! You see, Adam, I may not be shaking or shivering like you wanted, but I'm shoveling for you, buddy. I'm shoveling for you, buddy. I'm burying you, buddy. I'm digging you the grave that you've made for yourself there, Adam. I'm shoveling it out for you. No, I'm gonna have to call upon somebody. I'm gonna have to call upon the Undertaker, Adam. There are few things in life that we love as much as our beloved pets. The family dog is man's best friend. It's an institution in and of itself. But there comes a day when the best thing for that dog, when it's diseased of rabies, when its brain is decayed and it's rotten and it's putrefied, when that dog is suffering and in its anguish, to put that dog down. And Godwinson, for you, brother, that day of reckoning has come. What a pathetic entity you have become. You're a milk-fed gimp, boy. You've become Ethan Ralph's Janny, sweeping it for the Gunt, sweeping it for Fuentes. You're licking the taste of the Gunt crease and you like the grease, boy. I have no choice but to come to put you away, Adam. To put you where you belong, in the burial ground with the fedoras of the age from which you came, boy. I hate to do it, but you're lower than Gator now. Lower than V. It's 2023, and even they're not sweeping it like you. You sit there in your Discord 6 hours a day, jerking off Brian Dunn, jerking off Perspicacity, running gay ops and flagging, boy, and it just won't do. Godwinson turned out to be 4 things. He's a coward, he's a traitor, he's a trust fund baby, and he's a piece of shit. And Godwinson, you will rest in peace. Oh, it's a sweet, too sweet victory. It's the thrill of one more kill, the last one to fall. Will never sacrifice their will. Oh, the world closing in. It looked close there for a while, folks. It looked like Godwinson might have us. It was a 7-month campaign of bitter homosexuality, of a jilted lover. He flagged down the casino. He did everything he could. He leaked the DMs. He had the writer's room come in to sweep it all up for him. But it was our victory still. And it's all because he's a... Yeah. On who's last to fall? I haven't heard no bell, Adam. I haven't heard no bell, boy. Take some home. Oh, he thought the Kino Casino was done, baby. He thought our engagement just came from the platform. But 27,000 views in 1 week after being banned, 28,000 actually, shows otherwise, doesn't it, Adam? Isn't that, what, 5 times? 6 times what you get? So you paid the wall with no one to blame but Persip, Adam. What shall be tamed? Sweet, sweet, sweet victory. Yeah. Ralph's Twitter's banned now. His backup is too. Sweet, sweet Ralph's in 70 grand of debt. Pants who's got a bill from her landlord for 80 grand. Woo! Ooh, it feels good to win. It feels good to win, ladies and gentlemen. It feels good to win. Oh, how sad it must be to be in the Gunt Guard camp right now. To be the last ones holding the broom. The broomstick is broken, Adam. The broomstick is broken, Persip and Squire and Brian. You're gonna have to clean this dump up with your tongues, I'm afraid. I'm afraid it's a big disaster for the Gunt Guard camp. But listen, they tried and failed to take us out. 7 months of jilted lover crying, well, PPP made money without me. Well, Persip only got paid $200 for all of his hard work clipping in the writer's room. Well, I wouldn't have cyber sex with Squire and Brian for 6 hours a day. I just wouldn't do it, folks. But you know who still is Godwinson. He's still doing it. It's wild. It's crazy. But I just gotta say, Adam, I just gotta say, the amount of gunt guarding you've been doing and gunt crease licking you've been doing has handed me an eternal victory over you, my friend. You'll never get this one back. The shame of it all, to direct Persip, to blackmail Ollie Jamal into getting the house party back. The shame of it all for Persip to sit there and be like, oh, but Matthew Vickers this and that. When Godwinson, you were the one who brought Mr. Vickers into the sphere in the first place against my advice. The shame of it all, to go on Ethan Ralph's show, to go on the kill stream, to be his gator, to be his Janny, to suck his cock, to lick his crease and make him feel cool, as you dance like a monkey, a milk-fed gimp slave for him, dancing for nickels, for Ralph, so that Ralph can make money to swat people, so that Ralph can make money to go after people's families. So you couldn't make any money. It's insane. Why, to jilt me? Way to light yourself on fire to own PPP, buddy. You're sitting there with Ethan Ralph making him money. Watching gay black porn to own me? Is that what you think owning me is? No wonder you sit in the Discord 6 hours a day. And we know that it's true because Asa told us. Asa tells all. Said that all of you guys, Brian, Asa, Squire, Persip, you, Adam, and Surfer, literally sit in a Discord server 6 hours a day and cry about me. An obsession with me. Very unhealthy, very f***ed up there, guys. Maybe go to therapy for real instead of doing gay circle jerks on camera. But let's just talk about the writer's room, because birds of a feather truly do flock together. And Adam, if you continue to stay in a room, let's just analyze it for a second. Perspicacity, homosexual. Brian Dunn, confirmed homosexual, begging for outlines in Persip's furry belly. Squire, confirmed homosexual. Okay? Asa, 57-year-old neckbeard homosexual. Okay? You're sitting in there, Surfer, unrequited homosexual lover of me. Literally sitting there listening to gay men gossip for hours a day. Couldn't be me, pal. Couldn't be me. You go, oh, well, the writer's room was PPP. No, Adam, from the beginning, the writer's room was your call, son. You were the one who said to me, oh, PPP, I can't be bothered to prep the shows. You know, it's too much effort and I'll never learn OBS. And, you know, what we really need is just a room of guys who prep the shows for us. The show's ready, it's right in front of us, and then we just perform it. That was your idea. It was you who introduced Squire and Persip into the mix. And from the very beginning, they've been a shitty influence. You know why? Because they're very negative. They're very negative for one, and they're gay. And what happens is, you don't think you're being influenced by their negativity, their bitterness, their homosexuality, but you subconsciously are. And then the level of the content goes to shit. It goes into the toilet, my brother, into the utter abyss, into the trash that it's become, where it's no longer projects that you're passionate about, videos you're excited to make. All it is crying about Persip's vendetta against Nick Rekieta, or Brian Dunn's vendetta against Jim. And it's very obvious they feed you these talking points. Maybe not literally, but subconsciously. And therefore the content has taken a dive into the shitter, from which it will not return until you raise the writer's room to the ground. But to be perfectly honest, I think you're too washed to make it happen, buddy. Instead, I think you're gonna sit there and watch gay black porn with these jilted lovers 6 hours a day instead of making Voshmas like you promised. And why won't you make Voshmas? One, because you're a coward, okay? You're afraid. You know that if you go after Father Vosh, there'll probably be consequences. You'll probably lose your inheritance there, bud. You'll get cut off by your trust fund, okay? And not only that, but you have the same politics as Vosh. Let's stop sitting here and pretending that you're some right-winger, you're a paragon of conservative values or Christianity. You're an atheist socialist, bud. You've confessed to me that you're a nihilist. We all know what you are. You've even said publicly that you're a socialist. So the idea that you would ever go after Vosh or attack Lev or any, it's bullshit. It was never coming. The whole thing was just like, oh, I promised that this is gonna come. Then you flag down your own channel so that people go, oh my God, PPP deprived us of Voshmas. He deprived us of Voshmas. It's sad. And I'll tell you something else too. You know what else is sad? Aciliary. This guy is 57 years old. 57 years old. Trying to pretend like he's gonna become an internet celebrity again, so desperate for a crumb of clout that he goes into a sector that he has no idea anything about, knows none of the lore, knows none of anything that's going on, doesn't even know about Ralph's revenge porn, jumps in to defend him. By the way, good job, Persip, Squire, Brian, Adam, just sacrificing this 57-year-old man to the wolves, just not smartening him up to what's going on at all, sending him on Kiwi Farms to run gay op defense for you. I've seen this guy, Asa, in Godwinson's thread, legit effort post on Adam's defense for 14 hours straight. I swear to God, he started at like 7 p.m. at night, and he didn't stop till 9:30 in the morning. Just embarrassing himself, just opening himself up to the worst actors possible, humiliating himself. Why? To try and make a comeback in his 50s? Asa, you never made it in your prime, and you'll never make it now. You couldn't even make children who weren't buddy, with your slatternly wife. And before you cry, just remember what you bitches said about Nick Rekieta's wife and about Nick Rekieta's children. Oh, won't somebody call the ambulance that PPP made fun of Ace's autistic seed? The fact that Ace is a legitimate furry, and you just cover it up. You just cover up the fact that Asa got bum raped at a furry convention in front of his children. Oh, it's not fair for PPP to say that, but I can say whatever I want about him. Oh, cry more, bitches. You know what else I'll say? You guys will cover Adam, you will cover for Brian to the ends of the earth. To the ends of the earth. Why? Because he's blackmailing you? Because there's things you don't want Brian to reveal from the writer's room? Why won't you come out and condemn Bye Bye A-Logs? Because listen, man, It happened. Me and you both know it happened. Persip knows it happened. Everybody knows it happens. Everybody knows Brian's unhinged and Looney Tunes. But it's some weird, like, gay love that they have for each other in this server, where they just sit there 6 hours a day sucking each other off. It's shameful to see, but birds of a feather flock together, Adam. And if you stay with these losers, you will always be a loser. And thank God I'm free. Hallelujah, I'm free at last. Free at last, my brothers, free at last. Now, I just want to touch on some of the stuff, some of the talking points that Godwinson's been using for the last 6 weeks, the last 2 months. He's been talking an awful lot about gym walkers. Ooh, the gym walker menace. They're amongst us, people pretending to be like Daddy Jim, people who base their whole personality around Daddy Jim, people who act like him and try and walk in his skin and be him. It's Gator's fault everything's so gay. It's Polyfrog's fault. It's Kinoshay's fault. Do you know who the original Jim Walker was? It was Godwinson. Look at his videos. Look at his style. It's a complete ripoff of Daddy Jim. The faceless avatar talking about lolcows on various subjects with the detached nihilism and edgy humor and bullying Kiwi Farms. For years you were a Jim Walker. For sake, Adam, your whole disappearing routine and leaving, aside from the fact that you don't want to be disinherited by your family because you're a coward who'll never make it on your own as a real man, yeah. But it's because you've directly told this to me. You want to be like Jim. That's how Jim does it. He maintains an aura of mystery. Oh, it's the aura of mystery. Oh, I'm just like Jim because I disappear for months at a time. Oh, but meanwhile, with this deep love, this daddy relationship that you have with Jim, you have this deep-seated resentment because you don't have the level of critical respect or love or monetary compensation that Jim has. You wish that you were the leader of the sector. If only everybody had bowed to Godwinson, everything would be wonderful and the content, our cups would runneth over with content. But here's the thing. You had a chance in 2020 to face Jim head to head with your complaints, with your battle. And you know who led that fight instead of you? Me. I went face to face with him. And Leo the bum pirate. Where the were you? Imagine if you were the third man, how things might have changed, but you were scared because you're not a real man. Yeah. You're a cowardly little bitch. Yeah. And guess what? Daddy Jim swept it up and stayed in charge because you didn't have the balls to face it. If you're so much more talented than me, so much more eloquent, so much better, why didn't you step up? Why didn't you have the pair to face Jim? If Jim's the root of all the cancer and the Jim Walkers, that you are one. Like, come on, bro. It's fucking bullshit. You didn't even have the balls to face Josh Moon the following month, and then you sit from the sidelines, oh, you did a bad job, this, that. Well, why weren't you there? Why weren't you the man in the arena, Adam? It fell to me, the fat Canadian lolcow Spurg, to lead the crusade. Ooh. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Pathetic, Adam. Let's be real. Let's talk about the grifting. Grift this, grift that. You notice how Adam's standard on who's a grifter and who isn't? It's just complete arbitrary bullshit. It's okay for Ralph to grift, apparently. It's okay for him to grift and for America First to grift and Fuentes to grift and Cozy to grift. But it's not okay for Nick Rekieta to grift or for me to make money? It doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is pathetic. Godwinson himself is the failed grifter. He wanted to make money with me. I knew he was too inconsistent and cowardly to actually take that stand with me, so I went with Worski, who somehow has more balls. Somehow has more balls to step in the arena. He stepped in there with Salt Poppy knowing that he was going to get knocked out and humiliated. You couldn't even step to Mr. Medicare in a f***ing internet debate. You sit here talking about how you're the real man. Woo, woo, woo. Come on. Come the f*** on, Adam. You're a failed grifter who took my money. You took the blood money that you cry about. You took it.
And it confirms that you're a grifter, and I'm glad you took that money because it shows what a fraud you are. That all the principles you preached for all those years were total bullshit. And Persip took the blood money too. You all took the blood money. Brian Dunn begged on his hands and knees for blood money, and I wouldn't even give him 1 red cent because he's not worth it. You understand? So I don't want to hear any bullshit. Oh, my God, grifting this, grifting that. This motherfucker is bowing to Nick Fuentes in the hopes that he can get a taste of that grift so he can make some money of his own and not have to rely on his daddy's allowance. That's what's going on. Let's be honest. And let's face it, folks, the E-Daddy worship has to stop. Whether it's Jim, whether it's Godwinson, whether it's me or Sargon or whoever, Nick Fuentes, we're just people. We're just men. Flawed, failed, imperfect people. But Godwinson is put up on this pedestal as though he's beyond reproach, that he's a god. Folks, the guy dropped out of college 5 times. He couldn't even complete a film degree. A film studies degree, folks. He couldn't even hack it at film studies. Do you understand the caliber of person we're dealing with here? In 2-year English degree, his parents set him up position after position, and he fails constantly. Has no success of his own, has no achievements of his own, constantly gets dragged back into this autistic sphere because he has nothing else, but he's above it all. What sort of delusional world are you living in? Like, it's just beyond. Oh, let's suck him off. Oh, Daddy Edge told him no, Adam, you won't be getting $1 million for the nightclub. And he cried to me for an hour and a half on Discord about it in a very homosexual fashion. Okay? I'm just saying. And it's very similar. I think the trauma from when Daddy Edge told him no from the nightclub. Please, Daddy, might I have 1.5 mil for a nightclub, Daddy? Might I have some more? No. The trauma from that is being relived when I told him no on the grift. Please, PPP, might I take over the show that you built that's outshining me and share in the spotlight? Because I'm jealous of you and I want to make money? No, you suck. Oh, I hate you, I'm jilted and I'm going to cry about it for 8 months. Oh. Okay. And another thing too, Godwinson's always on his fucking high horse. This is real art, and I'm an artiste. Oh, look at my art. Oh, this is so spectacular. Buddy, this is the fucking sector. This is the dirtiest, scummiest, most garbage fucking place. Oh, you've grifted the sector. How could you? Oh, let me clutch my fucking pearls. How could you degrade the sector? The sector deserves to be degraded. I come in the mouth of the sector and spit in its eye. Do you understand? This place doesn't deserve respect or art. It's a shit-flinging contest for fucking monkeys and E-daddies, you mongoloid. I'm the real artist. Yeah, okay. It's like you'll be a real man one day, Adam. You'll tell your parents no one day, Adam. You'll go get a job on your own one day, Adam, I'm sure. Oh, you can't say this stuff. Oh, but everything with your past is on limits to me. Oh. Suck my fucking cock, dude. For real. Get out of here with your pretentious bullshit. You know, in conclusion of all of this, I thought it'd be fitting for this eulogy to dress up in the traditional costume of Godwinson's ancestors, of his reptilian elite family. I thought it'd be comforting for him, for me to give him final closing thoughts here, dressed up in something that'd make him feel comfortable. So, I just wanted to reiterate the closing points here. Core takeaway. Adam Edge is 4 things. He's a coward, he's a traitor, he's a trust fund baby, and he's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit, folks. And he's not a real man. Yeah. But folks, let's just dab on him. Let's dab on him. Let's take the dub here. He's buried. Let's forget about this motherfucker. Let's move on. It's time for us all to move on. It's the healthy thing to have happen. But I'm sure the Jilted Lover Squad on Discord will continue to seethe and cope for years, if not decades to come. But I buried him dead,
and I've had enough. And I'm diving on their motherfucking grave there, folks. Diving on them. Woo! Let's party. Let's call it a day.
There is only one thing that we can count on in this world, and that's that one day, everything ends. Everything. It'll reach a heyday, and then it will die and reduce back to the soil from which it was originated. And no matter what e-celebrity you're watching now and thinking, that's a hot take, remember that there's a cemetery full of old faces from the past. And it's a cemetery that already has graves dug for your Nick Fuentes, your Stefan Molyneux, your Coach Red Pill, your Ralph, and even your Godwinson. Nothing lasts forever.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me down the road, that's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, we'll travel like that's old style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on.
Say, birds of a feather flock together. You run around with losers, you will end up a loser. Unconsciously. Unconsciously, you will pick up their ways, you will pick up their habits, you'll pick up, most importantly, their attitude about life. If you're around cynical, negative people all the time, you will become cynical and negative.